Today we have a very, very special guest, someone I really admire and look up to as a personal mentor of mine, Chuck Hustmyre. He is a screenwriter. He's spent 20 years in law enforcement he's a retired federal agent. He was a SWAT sniper with, I believe, ATF. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. And Chuck has had the career that most of us desire to have. He has written and sold several screenplays, among them House of the Rising Sun, starring ex-wrestler Dave Bautista, who I happen to love, Disturbing the Peace, starring Guy Pearce, the Australian, and End of a Gun with Steven Seagal. He has 6 scripts currently under contract, and this is right off the press. He's queried about an hour ago and got 2 more script requests. So without further ado, this is Chuck Hustmyre. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing good. It's good to talk to you again, Gino.
Good to talk to you. Now, your accolades speak for themselves, but first of all, you've been very involved and you contribute a lot to my regular posts and videos, and I really appreciate it. Most recently, my poll question was, who's the first person you seek out after finishing your final draft on your screenplay? And you came up with the classic response, which was
a bartender.
A bartender. That's right.
Yeah.
That is absolutely true. But as you noted in the post, the screenplay editing and changing and rewriting really never starts, especially when you're on site during the production. Is that right?
Yeah, it never stops. I've gotten screenplays made that I've done 30, 35 revisions of. It just the last movie set I was on a couple of years ago, I was just sitting at some little table on set trying to add a scene for the producer because of it's a long story, but they had to have this actress in a scene. They'd already flown her out there.
Right.
And so I just had to make up a scene. And so I did, so I mean, it never ends until the film is completely shot and, in the can. Then it's up to the editor to handle anything that's left over.
Now, I know the answer to this, but let everybody else know, because these the names of these movies that have been made are currently playing on cable at some point. And how do I say this delicately? I love them personally, but I don't think you exactly feel the same way.
No, I really can't watch any of my movies. There's just such a disconnect, especially in the sort of lower budget range, between what is on the page and what comes out of the camera. And there's a whole lot of factors involved. There's director, there's talent, there's budget problems. You can't. It's just there's so many things you got to worry about. Making a movie that I used to never worry about when I was writing a movie.
Right.
I had one of my scripts that's currently under option. I had a guy shooting down a helicopter over a crowded city in Mexico. Well, it didn't take long before, somebody wants to make that for $3 or $4 million. They first thing they say is, Chuck, lose the helicopter.
Right.
Okay? There's not going to be any helicopter in this. So, now as a more experienced screenwriter, I try to take realistic budget constraints into consideration.
Right. And even though you don't like the end result, do you have a personal are you personally attached to the screenplay that you submit, and does it really bother you to make these changes, or or is it just like it's a business, you don't care, you got your check, I'll do what they want?
It's kind of both. I am really attached to the scripts, like, I mean, when you create all these characters, you build this little world for them, and you want to see the movie come out that sort of captures what you put into it, all the work and sweat and everything, blood you put into your script. But that doesn't always happen. So I do. Then I kind of shift into the other mode you mentioned. I was like, all right, this is a business. They bought the script from me.
Right.
It's like a house or a car. You sell your house, you sell your car. The new owner can do literally anything he wants to with it.
Of course.
And you have no say. So then I go, all right, I got paid a decent amount of money. Maybe next time, maybe the next one will be good. And that's what I'm hoping right now. I got six scripts under contract, and I'm like, all right, I'm moving up a little bit as far as budget range. I'm up from 3 million to somewhere around 10, and I'm hoping the movies come out better.
Good. And I guess there's really the only way you can control something like that would be like a Francis Ford Coppola or Cameron or someone that produces their own stuff. I mean, then they could they can afford to make it the way they originally pictured it, or something comes along that changes the logistics of it, like you said, a helicopter in a city or something like that. Then but otherwise, what would you say on the one that changed the most of your screenplays? What do you think is the percentage of your vision that made it to the screen? And I'm just guessing, was it Disturbing the Peace?
That changed a lot. I mean, that's the most recent of my 3 movies, and the one that still bothers me the most, I guess. But that may be a factor of how much time has passed since the other ones. I mean, my first movie came out 10 years ago, so
Wow.
Or actually 11 now. So I'm only averaging about 1 produced movie every 3 years. So it's. And people go, wow, yeah, that's a really good success rate. I'm thinking to myself, no, it's not. It's terrible. But, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just that they make so many changes in them. And, I guess, I guess maybe 40% of what I intended and what I wrote came out in that movie, which wouldn't be, bad if, somebody else had done a rewrite and made it better. But in this case, it just kind of happened. Nobody really rewrote it. They just didn't film a lot of stuff that I put in the script, and some things they got completely wrong, and that just changed everything. The guy's not supposed to be a U.S. Marshal, and I've got friends of mine with the U.S. Marshal Service, and as soon as they saw like the trailer of that movie on Cinemax or HBO, it's run all over the cable. They're emailing me and texting me going, Chuck, what are you doing? This isn't accurate at all. I'm like, well, believe me, it wasn't me. The guy's supposed to be a town marshal, not a U.S. Marshal. It's a huge, huge difference. But somebody involved in the set, they just put U.S. Marshal on the side of a car and they put it up. And once I got to the set, I'm like, hey, what's up with this? And they're like, well, it's too late. We've already started shooting. So, forget it. What are you going to do?
Now, I think what most of the people that'll be watching this video want to know, and without any, you don't have to give away any trade secrets, but how do you get to the point where you're now I know you you subscribe to IMDb Pro, and that's where a lot of thousands and thousands of contacts are. But what is your process? And I think we have about 3 minutes. So
okay. Well, you got to write a decent script. You got to get it in shape that you want it to be in. Usually for me, that's like the 3rd draft or so. I'll start trying to show it. And I find movies that are like the ones I write. I used to waste all kind of time querying, studios and, WME, people like that. They just ignore you, or they
Right.
have their legal department write you a letter and say, don't call us again. So you got to find people that make movies like you write. And the key to that for me is mostly through IMDb Pro. Now, they don't have everybody's email address, but they have a lot. And if you if you're half a detective there, you can figure it out. Even if the person you want doesn't have their email address listed, go through everybody in that company and try and figure out the format that they use. Is it first name dot last name, whatever, and then
excellent
you can figure it out. I'm trying something new today. There's a guy I wanted to reach out to and get some log lines to. I cannot find an email address for him, but a buddy of mine had his phone number. So, I'm going to text him and see what happens. I've never tried that.
You text him through the phone. Yeah, that's a great idea.
And I've never done it, but I'm just going to text him out of the blue and say, hey, my name's so-and-so, and I've got this, and, can I send you some log lines? He'll probably ignore me, but, we'll see.
You can't hit a home run until you swing out the ball, right?
Exactly.
And, your involvement, your contribution to the log line and query articles that I wrote, really, it was probably the most popular article and, response that I've gotten was your Linda Takes Coffee with Cream suggestion on the query letter. It's a little bit different than mine, but I really like it. And on average, how many query letters, like this last screenplay, how many do you think you sent out?
Oh, for the latest spec I've written,
right.
I actually have recently signed with a manager, so I haven't done any, but normally I'll send out dozens or hundreds of them even. I'm still pitching a couple scripts from a few years back that I can't find homes for, and I've sent out over 100 probably on each one. I just sent out some today. I just found a guy's email address and I sent him, and he got back to me in 2 minutes, and he's like, hey, send me both of them. So I'm like, all right. Sometimes you never hear.
And it's a Friday, which is unusual.
Yeah, I usually don't send them out on Friday, but I was just sitting here and I didn't want to wait till next Tuesday because I'd probably forget. I'd forget to do it. So I just sent it. And within 2 minutes, he got back to me and he was like, hey, I'll take both of them. Let me read them.
That's excellent.
So, I'm just always, you can't ever stop. I'm always just moving forward, trying to, drive forward and get somebody to read a script. You got to get them to read it before they can buy it and make it.
That's absolutely key. Well, our time has run out here, and Chuck, you're just a walking encyclopedia of information, and really, a
lot of people say I'm full of something else, but
personally, you're, again, you don't even know it, but you're a mentor of mine, and
well, thank you.
To many other people out there, and I can't thank you enough. So. We'll conclude this again, the great Chuck Hustmyre, and you're going to be hearing a lot more from him on your local channels. So go ahead and look for his stuff, because the concepts are his for the most part. Maybe not the dialogue. Okay.
All right. It was good talking to you again, Gino.
Good seeing you again, Chuck. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.